Whether you're using the product for your own livestock or selling hay commercially,
you know there's only one way to make money.
When the markets are down, you can't even give away low quality hay. Top quality hay doesn't just happen, you have to make it. Hay that is dried and baled quickly is much more likely to be top quality. When we're making hay, we don't always take all drying factors into account. This chart from the University of Wisconsin Agronomy shows the relative effects of a 20% change in various drying factors. Sun and temperature changes have relatively little effect. The only significant drying factors are relative humidity and airflow or wind speed. The only practical way to improve relative humidity is to move the windrow to drier ground. This slows the ground moisture coming up into the swath. If you use a rake to move the material to the side, it tends to rope up tight enough that there's almost no air movement in the windrow. And inverters can be tough on leaves and sometimes pick up old dark hay off the ground. In contrast, the ReCon moves hay over and leaves it fluffed. Airflow is a different matter. Wind speed can be translated directly to airflow. We can actually enhance airflow if the swath is fluffy. Air can move through freely and really speed up drying of the middle and bottom. If hay is conditioned only at cutting, it is too limp to stay fluffed and is flat after a few hours. After the ReCon 300 high-pressure lug rollers go through, the stem is squeezed from end to end and kinked enough to stay fluffed. You get great airflow to complete dry down quickly. Flat roller machines can't do this. Only ReCon reconditions and fluffs in one high-speed pass. Over the past 5 years, the 500 plus ReCon 200s in the field have processed thousands of acres in a surprising number of different crops across North America, Europe, and Australia. 300 model dries hay even quicker than the 200. Higher roll pressures and a larger crimping surface will save you days when you're trying to cure hay. It speeds up drying and lets you get it baled before the showers hit. There's not much chance of rain damage if it's already in the stack. In side-by-side comparison tests in both Alfalfa and Timothy, ReCon 300 swaths were baled at less than 12% moisture, while the control windrows were still at 30%. It took 2 more days for the un-ReCon material to catch up. Less time in the sun and less dew exposure reduces bleaching. No more zebra bales. ReCon customers have said they've had the only good hay in 50 miles after there's been a spell of bad weather. The trend in transport is toward large square bales. Hay in large packaged square bales must be extra dry, or spoilage and dusting will be a real problem. ReCon 300 is the insurance you need to get your hay properly dried. ReCons have been proven in many crops over the last 5 years. Alfalfa or Lucerne is a major feed source around the world. When you cut alfalfa with a mower conditioner at 75 to 85% moisture, the hay is limp and in a few hours is flat on the ground like a cow pie. The leaves dry quickly, but the stalks are still alive and close the pores on the stems and leaves. The mat will stay at over 50% moisture for days. The ReCon rebruises the stalks to let this moisture escape. Most owners plan to cut today with a mower conditioner and recondition later today or tomorrow morning. If the leaves have dried enough to be fragile, they ReCon first thing in the morning when they're still dew on the plants. When the hay is reconditioned after it starts to cure, the stalks will hold a kink and the swath stays fluffed up. The breeze goes through the swath, not over it, and dries the core. Some operators have said they were able to bale later the first day after cutting if the breeze was right, but usually it's the following day. In areas where alfalfa hay takes 4 to 5 days to cure, ReCon owners are saving 1 to 3 days, or about a 50% reduction in drying time.
You know, that's probably cut it back by, it'd have to be at least 50%.
Grass hays tend to be tougher to dry than alfalfa. The stalks are much harder and have a waxy surface. Ordinary conditioning rolls have trouble getting them opened up. Even when you cut with a mower conditioner, grass hay tends to form a thatched roof situation. This really limits airflow and slows drying. The normal workflow on grass hay is similar to alfalfa. Cut today, recondition today or tomorrow morning. If you have a brownleaf problem in Timothy, conditioning may be repeated just before baling. Use the quick adjust stops to open the rolls a little to prevent head damage. Raise the top deflector to get the hay in the air. The dark leaves will fracture and drift away from the windrow. Some producers report that in poor conditions they have run hay through 4 to 6 times because of repeated showers. Unlike machines with differential roll speeds, the ReCon doesn't damage heads on the Timothy. The ReCon has proven to be the only good way to get hay dried down to 12% for double compressing and export to the Pacific Rim. Whether you're growing it as a winter feed crop in California or for export from Australia, oat hay can supply a lot of good fodder per acre. We know that cereal hays in general tend to be tough to dry because the nodes dry slowly. Ideally, every node should be cracked, but doing this can also severely damage the head and reduce feed value. The ReCon 300 will crack at least 50% of the nodes and crimp the rest of the plant often enough that there are splits near the nodes to dry them quickly. ReCon 300 has cut the drying time in half on some heavy forage oat crops.
One crop was 3.8 tonne to the acre, and it saved us about 5 to 6 days, I'd say.
Depending on where you live, Sudan and its hybrids are very popular when a large volume of feed is required.
The sorghum that we were working with generally ended up 4 or 5 feet high, with stalks on some of those plants thicker than your thumb.
Their major drawback is the 2+ weeks they take to dry unless conditions are perfect. With a ReCon set for heavy conditioning, the stalks come out thoroughly open, which dramatically cuts drying time to a reasonable length. This could be a great way to use these plants to your best advantage without getting hammered by the weather.
The quality of the product was much better because we'd actually dried it out faster and it ended up being a softer product.
Corn stover can also be dried fast. After reconning, all these products are a lot more palatable for your animals. The 2002 crop year tested stockmen around the world. To get enough feed and bedding, many were cutting grain and oilseed crops to salvage them for their livestock. Frost-damaged canola turns out to be an excellent feed, except that curing it can be really painful. However, the ReCon cured this material, as well as drought-stunted canola in both Canada and Australia. Do you grow hemp for fiber? AgShield has developed a hemp kit for the ReCon to dry and soften the hemp plants before baling. After conditioning the stalks, round bales were easy to start, and bale weight went from 850 pounds up to 1,200 pounds in a much firmer bale that was much easier to handle. In all types of hay, the ReCon 300 has a couple of other uses. If you have a bleaching problem, use the ReCon to mix the swath. Zebra bales are eliminated. You won't believe the hay is from the same field. Some owners have reported a definite increase in palatability. With both alfalfa and grass hay, sheep, buffalo, cows, and horses have all shown a preference for reconditioned hay if it's offered side by side with regular hay. At one large, closely managed dairy operation, production increased for the group that used reconditioned hay. The ReCon can replace 5 different pieces of equipment. The recondition we discussed earlier is the first machine. For those folks who cut with a swather, it can be their only conditioner. Simply make a pass with a ReCon and you'll have at least the equivalent of a mower conditioner. With the ability to lock the rolls open, ReCon becomes a high-capacity swath fluffer. Owners tell us that if a swath is ready to bale and gets rained on, the best first aid is a fluffing pass with a ReCon as soon as the rain stops. This blows the water off before it damages the hay. The baler will be back to work before you know it. With the high-speed movement of the hay coming off the rolls, the plastic deflectors can do several different jobs. In straight conditioning, they protect the swath from blowing while it's in the air. Give them a small shift, and they can move the swath a few feet sideways to dry ground. With a bit more deflection, you have a high-speed swath inverter that doesn't create lumps or wads in the windrow. If your cut is 12 feet or less, the deflectors can be used to lay 2 windrows side by side to feed a large baler. No more raking.
Since its introduction in 1998, the ReCon has proved itself
From Florida to California to Alaska and around the world in Europe and Australia.
After 27 years of manufacturing farm equipment,
AgShield knows what it takes to keep you in the field. The ReCon series is built tough. Imagine your dad's old hay conditioner on steroids. The rolls are 5/16 wall, not 8 or 3/16, 8.5-inch tube. The crimping bars are solid 3/4 by 1-inch steel bar, not hollow like others which wear out quickly. The 300 rolls are run by a dual drive system consisting of number 80 chains running in oil bath cases. Surface roll speed is as high as 30 miles per hour. This lets you drive 10 miles per hour and still have only 1/3 of the swath in the rolls at any time. You get a great reconditioning job with no hay wrapping. In this machine, the rolls do the picking. You set the rolls to brush the stubble and drive. There's no pickup to slow you down or create maintenance problems. Ag Shield has included a unique feature on the ReCon rolls. A set of quick adjust stops can be set to hold the rolls partly open. This feature allows you to consistently set a reduced crimp or just fluff the swath. When the machine lifts, you have a 26-inch clearance under the bottom roll. You can back up or turn across a fluff swath with no back wrapping. As the machine lifts, the rolls open. If you happen to get a big wad and plug the machine, it will usually drop out when the rolls open. No need to leave the tractor seat. If it's tougher than that, a roll backing wrench is included. Mechanical drive PTOs use quality name brand units, rated well above the normal power requirement. The constant velocity U-joint lets you turn short without chatter. The overrunning clutch protects your tractor's PTO brake when you power down, and the slip clutch prevents overloads from damaging the powertrain. Of course, the whole drivetrain is properly shielded, but maintains easy greasability. Front curtains on both models keep debris away from the operator. The ReCon 300 is designed to live with rocks. Any stone smaller than 3.5 inches that gets picked up will go through and is often broken by the rolls. Larger rocks seldom get picked, and are usually kicked out of the windrow by the spiral bars.
It tends to flick the stones out. Like, it keeps flicking it forward and forward and forward, and slowly they just fall off to the side.
Large protruding rocks go ding as they pass under the roll. If the rock doesn't go through, the slip clutch protects the machine. The whole machine rides on fat, low-pressure radial tires that soak up small bumps on the field. Larger bumps are absorbed by the Rockshaft, which is actually a torsion bar, and by a stack of Belleville spring washers that mount the height control cylinder. These features combine to give the machine a smooth ride. This keeps the rollers at exactly the right height, and the ReCon picks all the hay clean. The ReCon can be run fast in the field and can be moved to the field at highway speed behind a pickup. Current Model 200 owners will find significant upgrades on the Model 300. Shafts on the rolls are 2-inch for longer bearing life. The mechanical drive units transmit twice as much horsepower to the rolls as the hydraulic units do. The heavier rolls are precision machined to allow closer adjustment to crimp finer hays. With 1/32 of an inch clearance and increased spring pressure, you can flatten hay stems. This action typically splits 80% of the stalk length and crimps at least half the nodes.
Since 2005, Ag Shield has offered several options for the ReCon 300. For some crops,
Spreading the windrow to make a thin uniform layer has proven very useful. The whole crop can then dry at the same speed as the top layer of a normal windrow. We have 2 ways to get this done. The first option works on smaller cuts where a maximum spread of 11 feet is desired. A series of small deflector fins is bolted to the top deflector and spreads the swath as it passes by. This solution requires that the unit be accurately driven to ensure a uniform spread. The side deflectors can be opened wide and left in place.
if you have a problem with rough hay fields, Ag Shield has walking beam axles available for the ReCon 300.
This all adds up to a reliable heavy-duty machine that makes you money even in the most demanding conditions.
How long do you think it'll take for the ReCon to pay for itself?
Well, I could see us paying for the machine this season.
You'll be surprised how little a versatile machine like this can cost. Get a ReCon working for you now. Simply call Ag Shield at 800-561-0132 or check our website for the dealer or rep closest to you.